My next guest certainly needs no introduction to anyone in this room, but I'll give him one anyway. Since gaining power last May, his government has been actively engaging with communities across Scotland, and I know that his support for the Scottish-Islamic Foundation has provided us all with a great boost. So could you please welcome, and please give a warm welcome to the First Minister of Scotland, Alex Salmond.
Assalamu alaikum. Your Eminence, ladies and gentlemen, I'm absolutely delighted to be here today and to join with everyone for the official launch of the Scottish-Islamic Foundation. Can I just say a special word of welcome to my friend Bashir Ahmad, who some of you may not know was in hospital having an operation just last weekend. I was telling the Cardinal just a few days ago that I read an article in a newspaper which suggested that people of faith recovered quicker than people without faith, and the Cardinal and the other religious leaders at the meeting were very interested in this, and I'm sure there's a lesson there for all of us. But last year, I know that faith can move mountains, but to go from operation on Saturday night to attendance in Parliament this week is a tribute perhaps to both faith and courage, and I'm delighted to see you back among us as Scotland's first Asian MSP. Now, I congratulate everyone who worked so hard on this event. I think Asana Saeed deserves particular praise as the Chief Executive Officer and perhaps the driving force behind the Foundation's establishment. And I want to acknowledge the support that the government have had from a number of people here over the last year, and also acknowledge the talented, committed individuals, Bashir Mann, Imam Mastaqim Shah, Ken Imre, Humza Yousaf, Norman Tahir, and others who've been very much part of the process of establishing this organisation. I am struck sometimes by not what actually happens in society, but what doesn't happen. And when we faced the Glasgow airport attack last year, just over a year ago, of course, one of the ramifications and repercussions in the aftermath of that attack was that there was a rise in racist incidents in Scotland. That happened. But what didn't happen was that Scottish society didn't fracture or fragment, as perhaps the terrorists and perhaps others would have wished to see it do. And that is a tribute to the cohesion of Scottish society, that it didn't turn within itself to blame people within, but rather looked at the danger as a common danger which was shared by us all. And perhaps that's symbolised by the fact when I visited the Central Mosque the day after the attack on Glasgow Airport, after having visited the airport, then I went not just with Strathclyde Police, but with representatives, I think, from every major faith group in Scotland who wanted to express their solidarity with the Muslim community in the aftermath of the terrorist assault. So Scottish society didn't fragment, it didn't divide among itself. And perhaps the other symbolism of that is a picture from the Scotland Against Terror rally, organised by many of the people who've organised this organisation and this event today, a week or so later, which showed a young Scots Asian at that rally, united against terrorism, draped in a saltire, an image which I was so keen on as projecting the image of the new Scotland, that I believe it's currently in the entry point at Glasgow Airport at the present moment, as indeed it should be, as part of the welcoming image that we offer our visitors to Scotland. Now, over the time I've known so many of you, I've seen firsthand the commitment not just to your faith, but also to the success of this nation of Scotland. Individually together, you've worked tirelessly to raise awareness and understanding of Islam, and also highlighted the huge and substantial contribution that Scotland Muslims have made across the full spectrum of our national life. Indeed, the full extent and range through the centuries of that contribution, we have to thank Bashir Mann for in his recent publication, which I was privileged to write the foreword for, because although I knew some things about the Islamic influence in Scotland, I must confess I didn't quite understand how far back in history that influence and that connection stretched. But these efforts have helped to build and forge bonds of understanding, to break down barriers between Scotland's diverse faith communities. They reinforce the fact that Scottish Muslims and our communities are very much part of the nation. They're very much part of the thread which makes up the tartan of Scottish society. The Scottish Muslims community takes pride in its Scottish heritage, and just as the Muslim community takes pride in the Scottish heritage, so Scotland takes pride in our Muslim community. Now, of course, while this foundation is being formally launched today, it has made its mark and many of the individuals in it over the past 12 months. We were at the heart of the organisation of that rally that I spoke about a few seconds ago, and there's been an impact in many other ways. The Weaving the Tartan Conference, bringing faith and non-faith communities together from across Scotland, the leadership training courses we've run to help young Muslims to enhance both their faith and indeed their contribution to civic society in Scotland, the distribution of parcels of aid both to Glasgow's homeless and the refugee community recently, another important act of solidarity. And of course also raising your voices on issues which are critical to the future of our country. That's very much part of the fabric of being Scottish. There was a poll, well actually that's wrong, it's a study carried out by the Roundtree Foundation, or carried out by Stirling and St Andrews University, supported by the Roundtree Foundation some 2 years ago. A study which results I only ever saw reported in one national newspaper in Scotland. And basically the study was a survey of young Scots asking about how high they place their Scottishness as part of their overall makeup. And what it showed is that young Scots thought the aspect of Scottishness was hugely important, but by a substantial margin, the highest identification with Scotland and Scottishness was among the Asian community, was among our young Scots, Asians. And as I say, that study reported in one single newspaper. I often think what would have been the coverage and reportage if the study had showed the opposite. And it makes us think both of the nature of how press reporting can distort reality, but also of the commitment, affection, loyalty and contribution that our young Scots Muslims make to our country. And that is why organisations such as this are hugely important and able to train and challenge and articulate that contribution to be part of the fabric of Scotland. Now we look forward next year to the Islam Fest event. That will be one of the huge and major events supported by this organisation, backed by the Scottish Government. I'm sure that's going to be the most enormous success. I hope it will take its place in the panoply of homecoming events that we're staging next year. But Islam Fest will be an enormous event for Glasgow and for Scotland. It will demonstrate the contribution of the Muslim community to Scotland and also demonstrate the links and potential expansion of the trading investment links across the planet. So I'm delighted we're supporting that project. We look forward to its success. But that will just be an aspect over the months and years ahead of this Foundation's programme of engagement and action, strengthening the faith of young Muslims and the contribution they make to the future success of Scotland. I rather like the 5 overarching themes that will guide the Foundation: freedom, protection of life, respect for people, education, strong families, communities and justice. Very much the values of our Muslim community and very much the values we aspire to as a national community in Scotland. So in welcoming the creation and support for this Foundation, I wish you all the best for that future success, and I am certain that the Foundation will strengthen Scotland's Muslim community and therefore strengthen our country, and also reinforce the reputation which we aspire to, the society that we want to become, the Scotland we seek, as a model of diversity and understanding between the communities who make up the tartan of Scotland.